I met Alex at a coffee shop near campus during my sophomore year. I was 20, buried in psych textbooks, nursing a latte that had gone cold while I scribbled notes on attachment theory. He slid into the seat across from me, flashing that easy smile, his dark hair tousled like he'd just rolled out of bed after a great dream. Mind if I join? You look like you could use a break from Freud, he said, nodding at my book. His voice was warm, teasing, with just enough charm to make me laugh despite myself. That was the start of it, the sweet Alex, the one who made falling for him feel effortless. We'd talk for hours that first afternoon about everything and nothing. My dreams of becoming a therapist, his aspiring writer gigs that sounded so bohemian and cool. He remembered little things, like how I took my coffee oat milk, extra foam, and surprised me with it the next day. On our first date, a picnic in the park, he brought wildflowers he'd picked himself, not the store-bought kind, and read me a poem he'd written on a napkin. You're like the plot twist I didn't see coming, he whispered, his hand brushing mine. I melted, who wouldn't? He listened when I vented about my overbearing roommate, made me feel seen in a way no one had before. By week 3, I was hooked, telling my friends he's different, he gets me. The sweetness lingered for months. We'd binge-watch old rom-coms on rainy nights, his arm around me, whispering how lucky he was. He drove 3 hours to surprise me for my birthday, showing up with a cake he'd baked, burnt edges and all, and a playlist of songs that reminded him of us. Sex was tender at first, exploratory, affectionate, with him always checking in, making sure I felt safe. I started canceling plans with friends to be with him, convinced this was love, the kind that rewires your brain. But around the 6-month mark, something shifted. It was subtle at first, like a crack in fine china you don't notice until it spreads. We'd be laughing over dinner, and he'd suddenly go quiet, staring at his phone with a furrowed brow. What? I'd ask, and he'd sigh. Nothing. Just, you seem distant lately. Distant. I'd rack my brain, replaying the day for slights I hadn't meant. The next morning, he'd act like it never happened, all kisses and I love yous, leaving me chasing that warmth, doubting my own steadiness. The toxicity crept in through questions that weren't questions. Why do you always need to hang out with Sarah? Is it because she gets you better than I do? He'd say casually, his eyes searching mine for cracks. I'd reassure him, cancel on Sarah, and he'd pull me close, murmuring, see? This is us against the world. But then I'd find deleted texts on his phone, late-night messages from Jess, a coworker, all hearts and inside jokes. When I confronted him, he'd flip it. You're being paranoid, it's nothing. Why don't you trust me after everything I've done for you? My stomach twisted. Was I the crazy one? He started isolating me further, critiquing my outfits. That dress makes you look... My friends, they're just jealous of what we have, until my world shrank to him. The manipulation deepened into psychological warfare. He'd forget anniversaries, then accuse me of overreacting when I got upset. You're so emotional, Mia. Maybe you need to work on that, he'd say, echoing my psych classes like a twisted mirror. One night, after a fight about his unexplained absences, he packed a bag and stormed out, leaving me sobbing on the floor. Hours later, he returned with flowers, tears in his eyes. I thought you didn't want me anymore. I can't lose you. I'd forgive him every time, because the highs were so intoxicating, the spontaneous road trips, the love notes slipped into my bag, but the lows carved deeper scars. I stopped sleeping, my grades slipped, and I withdrew from friends convinced I was the problem. Therapy? That's for people who can't handle real love, he'd scoff, planting seeds of shame that bloomed into self-doubt. Then came the other girls. It started with Instagram likes innocent at first, then comments that lingered too long. I'd scroll through his stories, heart sinking at photos of him with old friends like Taylor, all smiles and beach days. When I asked, he'd laugh it off. Jealousy doesn't suit you, babe. It's killing the vibe. But one evening I saw the messages, flirty exchanges with Taylor, promises of catching up soon. And worse, screenshots from a mutual friend showing him at a bar with her arm slung low on her waist. It's not what it looks like. He texted back when I called him out. You're twisting everything again. Maybe we need a break so you can sort your head out. The break lasted 2 days, enough time for me to spiral. bombarding him with apologies before he forgave me, pulling me back in with a grand gesture, a weekend getaway where he proposed we move in together. To prove we're solid, he said. I said yes, terrified of losing him. The impact was devastating. I lost 15 pounds from the anxiety. My once vibrant laugh faded into forced smiles. Work at the campus counseling center felt hypocritical. I was helping others unpack trauma while mine festered. My reflection in the mirror showed hollow eyes, a girl I'd stopped recognizing. Friends drifted away. My family noticed the change during holiday calls. You sound off, honey. But I brushed it off. Just stress. Deep down, I knew it was him, the way he'd rewrite our arguments in my mind, making me question my sanity. Gaslighting became his art form. I never said that. You must be imagining things. And the other girls, they multiplied subtle at first, then blatant. A lipstick stain on his collar after a late meeting, a girl's earring in his car. Each discovery chipped away at me, but he'd spin it. If you trusted me more, this wouldn't hurt you. It took hitting rock bottom to wake up. One night, after finding a hotel receipt in his wallet dated to a business trip he'd taken alone, I confronted him in our apartment. He didn't deny it this time. He leaned back on the couch, smirking. So what, you gonna leave? We both know you can't do better. That smirk it was, the mask slipping, revealing the emptiness beneath. I didn't scream or cry. Instead, I nodded, calm as a storm's eye. You're right, I said softly. I can't. He relaxed, thinking he'd won again. That's when I started playing his game by his rules, but smarter. I mirrored his sweetness, the one that had reeled me in. Mornings brought coffee in bed, notes tucked into his lunch. Can't wait to see you tonight. But I'd forget small things. His favorite playlist on a drive, a text response delayed by hours, then apologize profusely, eyes wide with feigned remorse. I'm so sorry, babe. I don't know what's wrong with me. He'd probe like he always did, and I'd feed him just enough doubt. It's nothing, just work stress, I guess. I isolated myself further, not for him, but to build my fortress, reconnecting with Sarah over secret coffee runs, journaling every manipulation to reclaim my narrative. I introduced the other guy, subtly, a fabricated shadow to echo his betrayals. Late-night study sessions with a male classmate, innocent, but I let him wonder, a new perfume that wasn't mine. When he'd accuse me, I'd gaslight right back. Paranoid much? It's your imagination. The power shift thrilled and terrified me. His texts grew frantic, calls laced with that edge he'd once used on me. Who's Jake? He'd demand, and I'd laugh it off. Jealousy doesn't suit you, babe. Friends noticed my glow-up, the weight I'd lost turned to muscle from runs, my laugh returning sharper. Therapy became my weapon. I unpacked his tactics aloud, turning poison into antidote. The end came on our anniversary, the date he'd chosen, not our real first meeting. I planned a dinner at that same coffee shop, candles flickering on the table. He arrived smug, expecting another win. Over dessert, I slid a folder across, printouts of his messages to Taylor, the hotel receipt annotated with timelines, even a timeline of his manipulations I'd charted like a psych case study. This is us, I said, voice steady. The real plot twist. His face drained confusion, then rage. You're crazy, he spat, but I just smiled, the one he'd taught me. No, Alex, I'm done being your puzzle. He stormed out, blocking me everywhere, but the whispers followed. Taylor dumped him after I anonymously tipped her off, politely, of course. His writer gigs dried up when word spread about his charm's dark side. Me? I thrived. Graduated top of my class, landed a counseling job where I help women spot the red flags I missed. The apartment we shared? I kept it, painted the walls bright, filled it with plants that thrive on light. Dating? Not yet. I'm savoring the quiet, the certainty that I know my own mind. Looking back, Alex wasn't the villain of some grand tale. He was a boy too broken to love without breaking others. But I broke free. And in giving him his own medicine, slow, measured, unforgettable, I didn't just survive, I became unbreakable.